The advantages innovation companies are racing to capitalize on the germline editing field. Patents lead their flow of investment BCRS. 18 companies will employ CRISPR-based experiments to achieve yields high rewards. One Texas peaceful regulated. Some might start using it in ways we consider unethical companies. Strive to remain ahead of competitors by racing patent applications to human germline and apply the tech before necessity to model the amount of time before network sources open trials are performed around the world, resulting in racing dominating markets. Companies are invested without regard for who wins the patent dispute. The entire world looks to the U.S. to establish norms around germline editing. IP is uniquely key. Whiskey. 18 barriers exist when the U.S. is game. We fail to be the first to patent. We must allow the fruits of our labor to fingers by not being the first to invent. We lose the lead right to the discussion and what these ethically first in the services of the IP frontier might begin with monetary value system behooves us to maximize our share of IP and to bring the sort of investment made, not be the first to discover the next nature of maximizing our odds. A simple U.S. principle behind the greatest approach is not eligible to pursue all avenues of policy might have the U.S. lose success, preeminent scientific power. The rest of the world might will not wait for us to force out the ethical questions. China, UK, and Sweden are taking the lead. U.S. responding behind the tech revenue must re-examine their provisions that hamper progress. The plan makes germline editing eligible for patent protection while building an ethical guardrails into the application process. The process that encourages use of firm-tried technology for treatment but discourages use for enhancement. Mendocino 20. Avenue through which the government could control human germline editing spot is patent law. Patents are critical in biotech because no research-based companies are concerned. This leads to the importance of one on patents to protect research because editing reap the benefits of the amplified for emission funding for private sources. Patent law can control the investment in germline editing to diminish the opportunity for commercial investment. Says protection is inevitable of someone with protection was controlled through private more usually reduction and reestablishment would further land U.S. laws than for other countries. No countries and by observing the success of other countries about the ability more utility reduction draw a line between treatment enhancement and allow human editing treatment and prevention of diseases eligible. The doctrine of restrict application for enhancement. The courts and legislation to restore the doctrine limited manner of the oversight of the personal decision-making appeal system will be altered to address the subjection of alternative for second examiner of PTAP, critified experts in the panel of amicus briefs would and the composed of extensive knowledge of particular tech and qualifying experts PTAP, just moving over the most educated remove human organisms, subject matter including no patent claiming human organisms, human editing will be eligible because the germline field DNA mutations are expressed and the treated germ cell not in every single cell offspring altered by every DNA future cell. The patent system is key to prevent a regulatory mechanism to provide the best and to best integrate ethical standards and innovation philosophy. 19. Time to clarify patent ethics, utilizing the patent prosecution as ethical regulations superior to every regulation, keeping these more timely and flexible. Negative implications for misuse or hiding because accessibility, limited oversight, we sacrifice the opportunity to analyze this issue during patent prosecution before go public. Important stakeholder and regulatory scheme and expensive and response to the patent process and how to catch the unique opportunity for active ethical regulation mitigated by changes associated with the catch of existing infrastructure insufficient restricting access, not provide a disincentive to the largest forces comes to the industry where creative restrictions are instead for continue research. FDA regulation occurs when it's too late effective. By the time the FDA research takes occurred, patent prosecution occurs at the ideal point in life cycle regulation early to mitigate the unethical use, but later to allow future application of technology or someone apparent attempting to hold a regulation of preliminary stages in order to efficient in the future. Use the temporal relationship is unique to the patent system. The patent law and how it shapes inherent to retroactive system patent prosecution is superior to every industry risk of government disgrace. The self-regulatory judgment, self-regulation, insufficient standing as then standing below the restriction to utilize patent, particularly funding your patent law is much larger than the regulation commercially desired instead of to subject themselves to ethical regulation, funding regulation, patent process to be individualized. This beneficial because patent ethical issue and more wide consideration about the development of the external assessment of the ethical risk early and the process is kind of the invitation of the ethical regulatory mechanism. The plan uses a blended approach that involves the course Congress, the USPTO to allow oversight and interpretation and incentivize innovation. Policy 19. The ideal approach would be such a corporation allow for the data on the grounds and that will leave it as flexible example, flexible cover with provide the more easily judgment allow judicial oversight to provide a flexible regulation. Congress looks to strips and establish a third vein order to the public limits the opportunity of political pushback, the lobbying groups, and discrete requirements allowing ethical consideration or agreement to assert misinterpret legislation, clear purpose to oversight, and the USPTO is discretion essential decision USPTO will tailor the requirements for more specific and informed professional guidelines, nation policy glue more quickly because the extra scale says the detriments then minimize the risk of detention into the judicial questions of qualified line drawing permissible. This is representation of public opinion determined as well without the risk of judicial oversight. Necessary analyzing the opinion of developments become to as if you're in the past become to illusion of innovation. This is incentivized by sort of the middle making for actual reevaluation so it can be embarred biological weapons balancing out receptive steel societal appropriation medical benefits not way morality subject to CRISPR demand for every student near prosecution tech is too many ethical shows as station cause by the Congress legislation common law amendments the international approach to accommodate the discretion and actions policy like the more detailed reduction appropriate balance between innovation and protecting. Scenario 1 is treatment diseases are rapidly emerging and spreading across the globe. Genome editing revolutionizes global health responses, limiting their destruction. What is 21? With connectivity cross-boundary efforts to rapidly global consumer diseases are endemic, and outbreaks like suddenly and unexpectedly difficult to contain genome, adding powerful new methods to address the challenge of breaks over spillover and reservoir exemplifies the risk posed by rapid mutation and accelerated engineered by resistant to viral challenges completely new novel technical tech rapidly identify threats in the cognitive system, and discovered infections and antibiotics, vaccines, and influenza, and difficult example of pathogen, difficult to treat genome editing direction, research writing, new device for treating DDT use to CRISPR genome, editing allows for new cell created efficiently, and quickly to CRISPR use development across all biological fields. CRISPR can strengthen security for genetic threats and treatments of the CRISPR more flexibility, CRISPR, diagnostic of made highly portable genome editing, venture advantage to target genetic base of disease, do not regard time cost of CRISPR to maybe your pathogens to target CRISPR. The pandemic caused extinction bomb. 23 interacts with the wildlife and pathogens subject. Humans do notice hardly risk now that early in history with the more words and conflict global chopper urban doesn't anymore. Opportunities for pathogens early pathogens can be killed by smaller portions of deep historical evidence consistent high probability of human extinction. Now pandemic started civilization collapse and they reported disrupting the food security, cognitive fitness, failure to engineer temperatures rise rapidly to global catastrophe, combat of the initial catastrophe. Oversight committees check the harms of discovery and allow the benefits of disease prevention. Roger Grace 18. Embracing CRISPR for disease correction and step in the right direction benefits. Having eradicated the disease and the human race fatal genetic benefits of CRISPR treatment is more compelling, actively sound in the interest of the patient and proportionally more accountable in addition to the compelling rationale for an issue based on the public process accomplished through the oversight committee. Similar to in vitro genome editing solves broadly by creating disease and preventing mutations independently infertility causes disease. Job 8. 21. Genome eradicating disease and required multifactorial disease preventive disease because scientists and experimentation for collective benefits and health intervention use predict about genome infertility, declining reproduction, prompt human extinction. Broadly, gene editing makes humans extinction proof. The Economist 19. The new genetic technology resilient society might be overcome by disease and new tweaking genomes to create new growing changes that opening the door for incredible new medical innovation. Genome sequences to fight cancer and other diseases and only distinction along the way. Changing the laws of nature, teaching consequences of technology is tremendous good for extinction events like synthetic pathogens, warmer climate, nuclear war, expiration of our sun. Scenario 2 is enhancement genetic engineering is coming and will cause extinction. Jones 9. Humans will require to deploy genetically designed babies in future generations like human engineer evolution, replicatable community might prove primitive for competitors. Having externally the last of humans become extinct, it's highly likely that the humans become divided into subspecies. Right? 24. Enhancement of innovation offers species also multi-generational effects and genetic transform the species in the long run. Enhancement how to use the subspecies accelerate extinction and humanity must survive. Enhancement of our future. A robust ethical system prevents backlog risks, otherwise extinction built in. 18. Human genetic leap toward the future, adding the word precipitating involved life as we know we not need to build safe course in radiation. We have charted the black hole. We have we're likely to get to the next way when it comes to CRISPR, taking the handle of scientists and Lord guidelines and design babies for long the orders overflowing great balls and increase the best ability to set up clouds. And it also causes the next generation of bioterrorism in US. 16. Genetically deployed bioterrorism more susceptible to CRISPR weak regulation lead to national security implications, standards on technical discretion, fluctuating research to AAAS and weak accidental consequences, reckless learning event where you perform without oversight, allows pop and but it may be the dangerous lab of creating designer babies. That I'm gonna have like a lot more time. Okay. That causes extinction of Walsh 20. A deliberate outbreak comes to injury pathogens spread fast, kill quicker than anything. Anything countermeasure for introduced again to the air and on the planet next to prevent attack may not be typical, but in biotech way, they may rapidly reduce the skill of funding use of genetically and engineer biotech. Funds of future remaining of the access to the RAM may be most available could be a byway.
Start reading the plan.
The United States federal government should distinctly strengthen its protection of domestic intellectual property rights and patents by expanding patent-eligible subject matter to ethical human germline genome editing.
These will be sent out later.
Harmonization. As per TRIPS, countries can only create morality doctrines that pertain to patentability, not to be generous. Matthews 22. TRIPS allow for certain members to include the compatibility which is necessary to protect morality. Some of a very other person abstain from enacting the morality clause. States have options for ensuring patentability there. The other complete patentability. Some have the modification, genetic modification not containing morality clauses. Salvation of morality exception based on not of force substance. Local patent offices consent examination and jurisdiction for that, including the U.S. There are no such provisions in U.S. law corresponding to morality exception to patentability. Certainty, there's no predicate for sui generis that requires undoing trips long. 9. Sui generis are great British things up to the international side of directive database as a part of the bill ill-considered system. You don't have the predicate for them, you don't know what the tests are, you don't know what the standards are, you don't know how they're going to work. It's not going to have teeth. Yeah, I have like 25 seconds left. The proposal is not going to have teeth. Some treaties are going to undo one piece of strips because the management practice of protection must be undone. Collaboration, patents are key to harmonization of standards across the international sphere. The USPTO needs to work with other patent offices. Patrick 20. USPTO and other offices also have led screening processes that relates to moral controversial biotech by company by committee any claim to do controversial reward. USPTO shared this info and every patent office will work together to achieve consistent controversial claims. Every country evaluates these claims independently efficiency will yet all argument the system inhibits innovation.
I'm setting this. Verbatim is yeah, I'm setting it.
You're sending all this stuff.
It's all set.
I'm good whenever.
Yeah, I got it. Wait.
That's good.
Okay, good.
Yep.
does it mean to be ethical?
The plan would incorporate standards from the moral utility doctrine, which the Supreme Court and lower courts have applied as a standard to.
What is that?
It's a kind of ethicality doctrine that the Supreme Court uses to distinguish specifically, but for patents
Okay.
like enhancement technologies,
How
it
do
would
they-
prohibit this.
So yeah, so the affirmative would institute. So normal means of the affirmative would institute an ethics commission, which would determine the ethicality of patents and determine the eligibility
Okay.
based on that.
What factors determine ethicality?
So obviously we're not like the experts.
I mean,
and
do fiat
ethicists.
and ethics.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
so
not
we're-
fiat,
so we're-
but normal
so-
means is an ethics commission to go over the
So,
plan.
we're
And
not
you
the
don't know
experts
what
and the ethicists, but we do know that the commission would allow for treatment using germline technology, but not
Okay,
enhancement.
cool. That didn't answer my question.
Treatment-
What
so, yeah,
determines
It hires experts, like this external commission,
Okay, yeah.
whatever
So,
field
they
that the
do.
patent is
Yeah,
over.
yeah, they hire experts. What is how do they determine?
Well,
what's
it's like an ad hoc, it's like a case by case basis, right? Like the
okay,
ethicality
I'm
depends on
asking
what
what
patent is
factors
applied.
determine what's ethical.
Oh, well, it's more like, so if it was treatment, if it helps people, right? Like
Okay,
if
wait.
it allows for
If
like
it helps
disease
people.
prevention, that's certainly
So
yeah.
anything that helps people, expert committee, like
Okay,
yeah.
so
like-
the key distinction that our Mosby evidence and Mendocino evidence make is that it's a question of treatment versus enhancement. So
Okay.
treatment using germline technology is ethical and is considered ethical by like.
Okay, so what's
The
the point of
literature
an
is.
expert committee if everything is ethical?
So it's the blur. It's the
Enhancement is
gray
unethical.
lines.
Enhancement.
Genetic enhancement is unethical.
Okay, so they're like, is this enhancement or is it?
Yeah, we've
treatment?
read evidence that like the expert board would certainly find that enhancement is unethical, treatment is ethical for
Okay.
genetic enhancement.
And treatment is good. Enhancement's bad.
Okay. Can you explain the distinction?
Yeah, so treatment would remedy some kind of ailment to the body, whether that be like a disease or like the economist card lists other things like nuclear radiation
What
fallout.
happens if a treatment to someone enhances them?
It could then that could be determined by the expert. If it requires enhancement, then it would probably be banned by the ethics board.
Okay. Which AF internal link doesn't rely on patents being good for innovation?
The second one, we think like broad patents key to innovation is not responsive. Like we've read specific evidence about gene patents,
okay,
but the enhancement scenario relies not at all on patents being key to innovation.
Okay.
It's all about enhancement being bad.
Enhancement and the plan solves how?
The moral utility doctrine.
So the 2AC to patents bad will be that patents control the flow of innovation, i.e. investors direct their investment based on patents. So they're trying to invest in enhancement now, but
Wait,
the
actually, I
plans-
do want to go to your patents key card because it actually says nothing in my opinion.
You know,
It's
it's-
for the first card, like this is like what's going on. Like, it doesn't even say patents are good for innovation. Like,
No,
That's the
right.
point. The purpose is to direct innovation to certain avenues, not that patents are good for innovation.
Okay.
Right?
I mean, that's what companies say. 10. I need a zero. It's in the I don't know what it's called. It's in one of the 8 minutes.
Will it reach?
I think so.
Will it reach?
Two minutes, 1 second.
Right away to get enough paper. Said 9 in the advance, or Rory? You said 9, right?
Yes.
Okay.
First off, the penalties are interpretations that topical affirmatives must increase the penalty for violations of intellectual property that's supported by the resolution. First, strengthening the increasing capital, and all four strengthening as defined as increasing side protection means enforcement of exclusive economic rights. 14, protecting intellectual property, enforcing private rights to creation to provide others right. That requires damages or an injunction. Benham 21 and seeking enforcement seeking damages or an injunction violation. They deal better for limits, lengthening, modifying, or granting IP protections or untenable app areas on top of small modification to IP. Administration eligibility and holdings are negative on a massive topic with unlimited mechanism. Next off is the subset. It means throughout that's WPA, vote negative for limits. Otherwise, modifying, otherwise there's unlimited ag grant because they can modify any small part of tiny ever. The next off is, next off. The United States Congress should, under its constitutional delegated Article 1 powers, establish a specialized legislative tribunal hereby referred to the Patent Tribunal overseeing decisions related to patents. The United States federal government should consent to the Patent Tribunal, and the tribunal should provide the opportunity to expand patent-eligible subject matter to ethical, human, and germline genome evidence. Kind of what's fast and quick to handle technical issues and avoid the clog. No enforcing Article 3 of the General Congress established especially non-play. Article 3 tribunals impose upon a particular area of understanding of expertise and judgment complex technical area tax work as especially knowledge and how to compensation courses. Congress has helped legislative or effective concept non-security tribunal can prompt instead of more method requires interpretation was expedited form to follow as to and incompetes. The plan legally requires standing in Article 3 courts. Void 19 within the jurisdiction, there's no legal rights and legal rights standing fundamental all legal rights and standing all parties rights. To make a legal place standing on the legal rights and any legal rights. The reasonable test for device for Article 3 and con. Courts are reducing clog and handle the current case law now but on the break. McAllister and ultimately he reacts federal judge. In addition to the reality curse the question of visa ever said he declined to the right corporate having economy companies moving in and out of sector causes of litigating rights to civil side wide cases going all over the country whether we need just have not want to see this letter of job that increases the adequate research to handle the demand. The answer is yes, patent protection floods of course may be allowed in the U.S. patent law favors patent holders until the patent holder of the office of rights application of the subject matter contributed increase in the technology patent application has excluded by pendency as tracking patent has a global impact for probably having an effect. Low thrust and setup and applications continue to flood report quality applications around the world. And the back of the federal court sex democracy drawn to 59 of the each American public voting has to be an application of the U.S. federal battle looking towards the majority of cases have the final say by federal district courts or by and access to justice limited to the work cases judges pay over justice and everything to kill the federal courts play battle and preserving democracy. Democracy caps existential risk. The lab 22 humanity based on president intelligence existential risk of climate rights. Autonomous auto work systems a healthy environment only democracy will problem accountability meeting to this. The type of federal policies around meeting needs to human rights with destructive ways that means seeking rather scapegoat itself is occurring out of the United States Congress fully supported by the President of the United States should unanimously pass a concurrent resolution threatening the judiciary if it is not expand patents eligible subject matter to ethical human germline genome evidence. Supreme Court complies with the threat mark 19 evidence suggests according to the effective judiciary willing to issue one of these because the legislative companies that matter contribute to achieve it. This swing that is effective for corporate more powerful and underscore populist more evidence to choose the projectile likelihood of voting to track legislation also taking the right wing attempt to gut the administrative state. Count 22 explicit decisions are part of the executive office of the right to maintain the regulatory state interfering the elite control the existential of catastrophic climate change of any exchange that is internet time to store FDR central point of view in the court by he was able to face without to pending the impact before EBA who change source intended to dismantle remaining regulatory apparatus and extinction. College 21 limit upon voters exist with financial systems and check on system possible abilities to the women life and has been divided today. Vulnerability leaders and shutters versus disaster backup terrorist attack the wrong expert coordination. Planning across agencies system required to signal from new research and administrative or lead the vast majority of functions, welfare, economic, and social powers of the administrative. Next up is the scale accountable. The United States federal government should interpret its obligation under customary international law to require expanding funded eligible subject matter to ethical human germline genome editing protocols by incorporating the act practices customary international laws that supersede domestic law rules, cultural methods, persons, territorial agriculture, and domestic cultural interpretation states, related to international agreements, international customer protection, agriculture, well, ILS continuing commitments to interpret applicant enforcement enforced by others, along including custom administration, interpretation by law, and covered by choose custom survey, water, wine, former tolerant interpretation, custom, the rule of custom, and law cases, former challenge, identified as legal, ethical state of practice, or contradicting the sense of obligation to award, MRCL showing relation to relevant practice, U.S. implication of CL prevents the disintegration of international law, economic law, extinction, archery, 20 IU for transport over the global order to the current system, economic governance, surveys, knowledge, channels, environmental routine, and global population, national policies, and security, expanding shadows, the result of the interest, security, democracy means sustainable to be ready, subject to enterprise, sovereignty, of the international battle, universal species of the United States today. If diversity fails to the Iowa, deny solidarity on board is even over. The project failure next up is the appendix sui generis counterpart. The United States federal government should establish sui generis intellectual property protections, perfectly mirroring existing IP protections as associated legal standards and case law to patentless eligible subject matter to ethical human journalists, genome editing, the counterpart to legal regime, perfectly pairs with man, but in new and wholly distinct. Cabinet 24, the solution creating the industry generous regime and providing for the interest of development of also recognizes the speed of development since the shorter period of production, foster innovation, speed of provide production regime, just because the planned use of trademarks causes a spiral. Actually, yeah, the net benefit score clock that was explained above. Now, capitalism and next up for the capital. Capitalism is unsustainable, not research. Total capital is undergoing crisis. Here are some financial remains that taking time to convert global investments and public system of the energy needed for currencies. Let's advance to solve the urgent play and government corporations, which are capture agency and new taxes, economic crisis, ecological political crisis, as to capitalist society, everyone can catch up, and lead to others, and that causes extinction. 21, there's existential crisis, boundaries are about to be changed, there's no fix. Do you think we will save these indulgent habits, capital at the cost of crisis, all being subordinated to reserve an environment and generate waste created rich, making society and environment and need to dominate as much power as possible, losing market share resources that we could faster when they can be revitalized, so we generated enough that they can be processed, shrinking intellectual property fees into capital, working 22 market extract relevant that have not even to the level of commodities interrupted to the company's high right copyright trademark rights, driving the after the capital's production, capital entering the property limits. Counter revenue self integrity factor found the outcome of capital is the feature of the economy and a co-end game. The aluminum companies characterized by private property rights, state covered with instrument accumulation, which injury expansion, co-end evidence, occupy the wage, in the global ID space, flutter of the economy. Never ending task is the pursuit to achieve capital accumulation. Vote negative for global syndicalism, pressures towards socialist state actions are building, forcing the hands of monopolies. Recap 21 capitalism, space sale, exclamation, social control, subject to a better commission to organize online, is counterbalancing what it is a model for organizational weakness. Movements benefit from uplifting predation units or directing workers or workers or organizing employee payments to stop the Pentagon units receive a political incentive when it comes to transforming capitalist drives which play a crucial role for must be coordinated the global protection. Okay, case. Diseases that cause extinction for 7 epidemics of water elements to cause extinction of the water extinction unless the water comes are started to be down globally discord other factors also contributing are seen to very numerous global discourse capable of responsive violence to be killed up highly lethal patterns kill before they are spread to the selective patterns not be lethal patterns and for them to kill off for annual fertility crisis. Impact is actually ridiculous. Almeida 70 relation to be spread on cattle fertility is actually weak just possible which comes to be climate without being a course of display and where approaches there's no result. Standard for tests of male fertility program will fall below the level also confuses me. The men are also fertile semen so very sensitive to semen who really over time and gene therapy fails, which means that contribute significant variability in the gene corrected across members of different studies or gene therapy plus in the academic setting of these are lower in the active commercial setting of the self-processing materials that gene because and the enhancement there's no way to determine what enhances something. Treatment for something that helps someone heal could also enhance them. Cannot predict the impact or side effects which makes the unpredictable. Can't solve. 1 economics literally says we can enhance things to help treat them. What is actually going on? 1 the economics actually selecting specific areas to avoid health problems. Now there's no impact of bioterror. Mentally 25 are highly speculative outside of little evidence as to whether the war is dangerous label actions from the call random holding whether it's out of control unknown. Threatened speculation generate worst case scenario threatened saturation drivers and reference to low probability high consequence events of even controlled nuclear radiation and later deaths cause a rare to and patent discourage innovation. Leaving 16 patents discourage innovation because they have royalties but no email is working no Google and reporting innovation to happen before patenting companies sponsoring the blog. You actually said to talk to cause of tools about 12% of spending and new task on innovation 175 10% of innovation has been patents working developed on a few years and a half. It's 30% of our demo resource using the first being the plant cycles causes dead weight losses cycle competition jacks up prices. Now yet 24 patent protects facility come on about the monopoly power holders example even after the patent it blocks all competition companies are paid off to keep the market's prices kept high and backing from affordability healthcare. It also market company in spite of the increase in patents in the economy seen either progress or RT expenditure patents restricting growth restrict knowledge while full of possessive research patents unused applicants fall about the block of controls by a patent to turn the lawsuit implications common fruits make innovation intelligent policy and gene editing devastates the healthcare industry and pandemic response leaks out scenario and Parker 3.8 individuals of gene submission to patent overturn myriad allow companies to patents for gene allowing 3 leads to expensive intelligence nutritional judgments pandemic myriad is a great example patent for genes elevate the for sole companies who made it so patent are unable to control second opinions to prevent better testing conducting research it will result in decreased revision and access.
The Article 1 counterplan, what does it mean for a tribunal to provide the opportunity for Congress to do the plan?
It enforces it through the new tribunal.
It enforces it?
Yeah.
You fiat that?
Yeah.
Okay, how does it compete?
It competes off of rights.
Off of rights?
Yeah.
Right, but you enforce the plan
Yeah.
through the new tribunal.
Rights currently are enforced in Article 3. Yeah.
Right, but you still, like, how?
Well, it creates a new tribunal.
To enforce the exact same thing?
Yeah.
The same one?
Yeah.
Okay. The court clock decide. The Joando internal link is from 2015. How does it assume, like, new anti-democratic rulings, Roe, Shelby, etc.?
Yeah, it says, well, first of all, the link is linear. It says that as long as there are more courts that involve things like marriage equality, abortion, healthcare, immigration, all these things lead to democracy.
Well, no, like, but then, like, you need to win the
Why don't all
uniqueness.
preserve
You'd agree, you need to win the uniqueness claim that, like, courts not backlogged now are
Well,
causing
the argument is
democracy.
that Joando is making that either way, whether or not like this happens, courts have a majority of the say over these things, and that is vital to
Yeah, they have a
democracy.
majority of the say, and while they're not backlogged, they're decreasing democracy. So I'll ask again, like,
Well,
what is the
we'll
uniqueness
argue
of the
that-
internal link?
Like we'll read link cards or internal link cards that they will increase democracy.
Okay, the topic, or status of the auth,
Conditional.
and were there any hidden theory? Okay. The T. Your evidence says protection in intellectual property is usually perceived as a means of enforcing private exclusive economic rights. Where do you think you've read a definition?
Well, if it is predictable that intellectual property protection is done this way.
No, it's not predictable.
Well,
You
the
said it's
topic
usually
wording
perceived.
makes no
There
sense.
are
There's
other
actually no
interpretations.
consensus of what strengthening protection is on this
So you're
topic.
just like
because
folding
the
on predictability, like
no,
just debate.
the resolution is not in the law. Our argument is that this is the most predictable interpretation in IP law and how it is used by companies
Okay.
or IP experts.
The K. What exactly is fiat?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
What do you imagine?
Yeah, nothing. I'm telling you.
Okay. What does the alternative do?
Oh, the alternative is about grassroots movements and how they're scaling up from the status quo, but the app stopped.
So the alternative doesn't do anything. It affirms existing movements.
Sure, but the
Okay,
recap.
how does that
is-
overcome-
Actually, if it does fiat anything, it fiats that there's
Like, does it fiat
movements.
something or not?
Yeah, that this movement starts. Yeah.
That they start?
Yeah.
Okay, so how do they overcome like crackdowns, like
Well, we have
F-16
cards saying that
bombers?
doesn't happen.
You don't think they'll crack down if the United States, or if like they're overhauling the existing
Well,
economic
no,
system?
the recap evidence says that these movements are making large strides in the status quo. They have made
True, but
efforts
they're
to block,
failing.
monopolies.
Obviously, like, do you fiat internationally? More important, if you do fiat. Global syndicalism, that's not international.
Well, we affirm global.
You
systems.
affirm
we
it
think these
internationally.
movements
Okay,
are
great.
working in the
Right.
status quo.
Okay.
10.
Sorry.
752. I'm sending it out. I'll give an order in a second. Bet.
Yeah, that's the order.
Okay. The advantage. T subs. T penalties. The cap K. The Article 1 counterplan. The court curbing counterplan. The CIL counterplan. The advantage counterplan. And then sui generis.
Okay, I'm good.
Does anyone need it another time? Okay. Wait, hold on. Let me take 752.
Y'all skip.
Okay.
750.
750.
Okay, same thing, no advantage company?
Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, I'm good.
Yes, disease causes extinction. 1, they'll kill off the entire population by spreading between humans, urban density, and global travel. Make 1, virus spread fast. 2, it causes civilizational collapse in markets and supply chain disruptions. 3, pandemics and P, geoengineering of the stratosphere. Otherwise causing a double catastrophe. All existential scenarios, that's all bomb parkour. Doesn't assume COVID and the combination with hereditary conditions that only the F can solve. Geoengineering, civilizational collapse are also external to burnout, which is the scenario that is cited here, and internet connectivity overwhelms it. Kick fertility, we're not going for it. Yes, gene therapy, their evidence cites costs and commercializations as current barriers in the status quo, but patents solve that by allowing the technology to be dispersed. Yes, enhancement, the ethics committee decides that our ed is really good on this distinction. You should read all of our 1AC evidence. It talks about the distinction between treatment and enhancement and how the ethics commission can decide it. Treatment is about treating human ailments, but enhancement is about changing things like hair color, eye color, and things like that, which is distinct, but increasing enhancement is bad for a couple of reasons that the 1AC drops. First is health interventions unlock medicinal capacities to respond to a slew of existential risks, synthetic pathogens, climate change, fallout from nuclear war, and exploration of the sun. Dropping any means it's tried our act. That's economists. Each innovation and genetic enhancement linearly increases the risk of an existential black hole that collapses in humanity. Drop. That's built-in enhancement and creates a new subspecies that is so different they decide to kill the rest of humanity. It's highly likely the enhancement is species altering and causes multi-generational effects. That's Jones and Areda. The bioterror doesn't assume the magnitude of our internal length. The attempt to enhance humans for design behavior creates a risk that dangerous CRISPR technologies fall into the hands of bioterrorists who use them to spread around the globe. That's Wash and US. Their ebb. It's about bioterror. It's not applicable. The turn. Group the 3 cards. Patents provide incentives for terminal innovation. War for 19 innovations provide patent system which encourages inventors to spend money until they hope they will obtain ownership so they are less motivated, since anyone could rep them off to spread beyond if embryos will require time, money, resources, and genius. Research will incentivize the best and brightest to invent. So all incorporated patents should be drawn into inventors using CRISPR. However, those patents must be limited in nature. Patents aren't just for innovation, they shape trajectories of innovation. That's Mosley Mendocino, Paratheory 18. Patents do much more. They shape innovation trajectories. Decisions to grant patents indicate what tech generates social markets. Congress used patents to control atomic weaponry. And even if patents are bad domestically, we've won. They spill over internationally to solve for treatment and install enhancement internationally, which means that we can solve globally. And it's good specifically. Every rating is good for gene patents. Pro 2-3 recursion find out from innovation revenue goes high in R&D need patents with higher citation patent strategy for low R&D companies. Pursuing numbers for patents is not desirable. Project need a large amount of capital to develop therapeutic prudently, which also investment without rewards. Companies study R&D are capable of bringing therapeutic to market. Higher patentability standards, they are capable of meeting requirement. A company can secure economic returns, market returns, and it's empirics disprove all their warrants. Galatopic 17, there's no F. Of hold up thickness and royalty stacking, all studies reach the same conclusion, but empirical story is lacking. Despite 15 years to amass evidence and not shown, hold up as stacking is a common problem in practice. T subs. 1. We meet the plan changes and eligibility requirements that affect all patents. 2. The plain text means in a vacuum preferred for background objectivity. 3. Counterstrip and means with limits of answers. 6. Use is used to indicate inclusion within limits. Protections are always limited in scope. 19. IP rights and patent copyright trademark protections are always limited in scope. 4. Prefer it. 1. Background facts are unbeatable in limits. The topic to affirm affirmative. 2. Predictability. Their evidence is about the domestic accounting law, while ours comes from the most common dictionary and cannot be throughout. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in this room. 5. Functional limits. 2. Genres. Cap clause. Uniqueness. Countenance. In other words, check. 6. Reasonability. Good is good enough. Penalties. 1. The function of the plan allows for a change in the distribution of current rights. 2. The plain text means in a vacuum. 3. Protection of IPR. Expansion of eligibility. Musi law. 15. Term protection of exclusive use because with regards to knowledge protection products that refers to grant of exclusive rights to IP, rights-based models and largely influenced by white, but for a particularly our evidence cites the framers from which all IPs derive. There is no intent to define. It's Frankenstein's create and enter B. F ground. Big changes from the square are key to getting a big advantages. 4. That cross by functional limits and reasonability from above. Cap. 1. Framework grade links to the plan's feed implications against a competitive all their interpretation moves the aperture defense and offense fairness is the only impact on inferior class based critical research useless. 2. Growth sustainable right. 20. Despite finding some competitive mechanisms are feeling wrong. Peak world population non-metal run non-happening and second capitalism for shortages price mechanisms allocate resources to measure value use we about ways to grow more find more better use the economy grow but consumption is decreasing we're getting more. From last 3. No link to their evidence about IP broadly but not about the plan. 4. International fiat as voter. It's impossible to refute pretend everyone's an angel. 5. Print vote either the alt revolution abolishes capitalism. The quote of Rome's the lane. 6. The alt fails. A. Transition wars. The domestic uprising causes diversionary conflict. And elects aggressive right-wing populists, both go nuclear. B. The alt-security coup or election. Both are impossible. Hate 21. Holding coup rapidly humans who require control of institutions or elections or the coup even have to control concerning which otherwise end a revolution. There will be counter-revolution by foreign elites. And other countries they have to provide for a population reduce emissions and enforce on fossil fuel and counter-revolution given time and before climate change. The revolution is unlikely. Article 1. 1. Perms of the counterclaim. 1 and C. Void is about rights broadly. IPR can be asserted in Article 1 tribunals. Coalesce. 18. Congress authority alter public rights and does not so in the past by allowing counter rights to be attributed in Article 1. Courts. Enter 2. Perm of the plan and through the tribunal's recommendation. Counterclaims must be textually functionally competitive for keeps germane background and objectivity. Russell will send that out. 3. Can't solve. Say no. That will be below on the other process counterclaims plans. 4. Perm of the counterclaim and the F solves because the patent authority shifted to the tribunal before the plan happens. Then 5. Perm of the plan and create the tribunal with germline ethics board within it. 0 reason why doing the counterclaim immediately over the plan is key. 6. Links that benefit the same number of applications flood the tribunals and 7 permanent about 8 conduct of veteran disposal solves 1 straight turns maximizes in plasma education. 2 fairness can't be the best ideas ever imagined and the core idea. 1 no uniqueness in turn merit. 23 imbalance must be achieved on relevant innovation legislative solution not kept with the base growth of a gene editing legal system with prepared tsunami brain for twinkies to the following gene editing with culture which embraces rather than fears genetic litigation and immensely helpful in striking balance. 2 courts are structurally doomed and not credible now. C 9 cross country global courts buckling ever increasing class limited for years bill increasing judges population grow by 80 million fathers in the past year more than 27,240,000 cases and 72% increase in pending cases over the last decade. Person to get all work done to litigation domains, undermining public confidence in judiciary. 3. No internal A. Doctrine controls courts will shut down fraud case before they occur. It's empirically proven. B. And 4. No impact. A. Slump international leaders, Trump and domestic extremism. B. Can't solve internationally. District courts solely deal with domestic matters. Curbing. 1. No internal A. No spill for a single instance of curbing doesn't solve a broad regime of governance. B. No impact. A. It's thumbs of right-wingers already have taken over the state, proven by the House Freedom Caucus. B. Trump to them the rule of law. New 1AR is evidence is justified considering this scenario is not real. 2. Perm of the counterplan is the way the plan can be done. 3. Perm of the counterplan then the app. 4. Perm of the plan and the counterplan on other issues solves the internal net benefit. Russell will send out text. 5. Can't solve packing threats. Fail on Roberts. Wilson 19. Packing tried by Roosevelt not paper and not passed. Roberts had respecting to have court take under controversial legislation sponsors. So that would restrain chief justice is this likely to see a good reason for that. Good Roberts is constitutional like forge and full justice. There's nothing more important than protecting SOP or threat of future packing. It's not like to deter someone who sees this as course historic duty. And 6. Perm to build solves the internal. 7. Perm to the counterplan then the app. CIL. 1. No internal A. No spillover singles of CIL doesn't solve a broad regime of governance. Impact defense will be low on the turn. 2. Perm to the counterplan. 3. Perm to the counterplan then the app. 4. Perm to the plan and counterplan on other issues of 5. And they can't solve cross by the deficits from above. 6. Perm to build. 7. Perm to the counterplan then the app. Turn U.S. invocation of CIL is bad. Moss 10. U.S. party treaties that provide treaties of national security without agreements and ships and not cross trade. Restrict epidemics to spread the world with lack of cooperation. Central international order. U.S. economy exchange on rules-based order. Manage extreme tensions. Prevent major conflicts and foster cooperation. Equal perils can fit by treaties. The U.S. leadership is required to address the climate change. U.S. security treaties essential. Do other nations to join. Mark at joint. Sui generis.
Did you say other issues on CIA?
Perm to the plan and counterplan and other issues. Sui generis. 1, 2, both, 2, permanent counterplan, 3, counterplan vacant, justifies new 1 area interest, 4, links to that benefit and invites in litigation. Sol 24, a special regime for Apache funds willing to prevent as issues, regime Congress craft, openly challenges that specifics are fleshed out requiring years of litigation and uncertainty before some instance of instability. 5 can't solve. A, interest groups citing the order, public doctrine prevents water down, that's Mendocino, inserted for reference. B, harmonization, as per Trips, countries can only create morality doctrines that pertain to compatibility on sui generis, that's Matthews. C, certainty, that there's no predicate for sui generis and it requires undoing Trips, that's Long. C, collaboration, patents are key to harmonization of standards across the international sphere, which is key, that's Patrick. Go back to Article 1. Docket control, dead render 20. Flight cases overblown, lacking empirical source, more appetite and obstacle court, no frequently a predicate delusion, however, have funding is to emerge because as against the passive rules of procedure stem, they try to weed out cases with options to conserve residual resource such as a claim preclusion, issue pollution, absent to words order, and then case consolidation, prevent lawsuits simultaneously in multiple district courts. DPT is toothless, George Plate 19. Book relies on hundreds of studies support a piece of weak, no correlation at dyadic level, market level. Did you submit this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you?
Yeah.
T subsets. I want to talk about this limits card. What do you think? Like, where do you think this goes more?
It's subs.
The Asado card.
The Arado card.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, well, it's more like kind of a predictability card. It says that literally all patent protections ever are limited in scope, which means that your interpretation requires affirmatives.
Okay, so all patent protections are limited in scope, and then the app expands the scope. So
This
why
is
is it
talking about
limited?
like all patent protections are limited in like the scope of the area they affect. They don't affect the entire area of copyright, trademark.
Yeah, but under your
patents.
interpretation, we could add unlimited amounts of small numbers of increases in scope. Correct?
I mean, like, yeah, you're not allowed
Yeah?
to do,
Okay.
like, we don't have to do a subset. But, like, I don't think that's the problem with this argument. The problem is picks.
The problem. Oh, okay. Thanks. I want to talk about this T penalties expansion of eligibility. Where does it say that?
Yeah, the, refers to the grant of exclusive rights through IP. So granting more rights
Okay,
is
this card is
protection.
also about traditional knowledge in reference to like indigenous, like traditional knowledge. Your app is famously about gene editing. Where do you think?
So
this
I would
applies?
disagree with that claim. The second paragraph explains that the rights framework that's established here is influenced by the WIPO, which established TRIPS and is the international organization responsible for all international IP. Which means that it's like more predictable than your card in the 1 and C. That's not even a definition. It's like at least this says like.
Okay, so your interpretation is that we should be able to like add infinite like permutations of what can be eligible under patent law that were not previously in patent law or IP law.
Yes, because
Yes.
the 1 in R or 2 in C limits push will be checked back by functional limits like sui generis. Because there's no advantage ground for like tiny technologies like fashion or like movies, because you can't get to extinction with those.
Okay, were the only reasons to reject condo and
I feel.
international?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, this court clog disad jocket control. Can you explain that?
Yeah, you're talking about the render evidence?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's that like courts won't be overwhelmed because courts can manage the burden and they split the amount of cases amongst themselves to handle oncoming litigation.
Okay, my next question is about the case. You have said that the equity board can somehow determine this, and you cited an example of like cancer research and aesthetic principles. If, for example, someone goes through cancer research, they have their health like improved, but also their hair texture might change. Is this like
Well, okay,
enhancement or treatment?
so it's based on the genes that you're editing. There are specific genes for traits like eye color, hair, and there's other genes that
No,
affect
I'm
things
saying
like
that
cancer.
like in cancer treatment, in chemotherapy, some people have their hair color changed or hair texture changed in the process as the effect
But-
of it. While the like
But
the
yeah,
original was
it's the effects, not the intent, and the ethics board would
only
determine.
the intent.
What?
You only evaluate the intent.
Well, the ethics board would determine.
Okay.
Okay, it's sent. The order is the K, then the advantage. Are you too good? Panel.
Capital ways its fundamental positive environmental breakdown, climate change, acidification, land use, biodiversity, pollution, all make extinction inevitable. It's fast. Boundaries are being transgressed now. Counter-interpretation. Evaluate competing political imageries and contest the apps. Consequences and ideological underpinnings. 1. Education. Question what we should do carries presupposition about political subjectivity. Those are wrong. Our policies will be 2. So they cannot permanently or links. It means they can't access the case until they defend their ideology. Hookers. 13. Implementation. New go for policies. Spread the we cannot listen to dismission, gesture, discrepancies, public operation, new liberalism, body reputation, decision, very durable, there lies the importance of broadening the ocean implementation, we appreciate role, culture, new expansion is because the new embodiment of neoliberalism that we're nowhere near the end. If we hope to think beyond the neoliberal age, one for to do decolonize our mind. 2nd, link turns clash and ground the capitate is the core, and the only functional limit on the topic would not unique decide ground. This topic was meant to be the capitate versus IP, last page, an infinite prep to frame the best advantage, mitigates any regression, 3rd, reciprocity, fiating, attitudinal, durable enforcement of the plan is utopian, it does not reflect pragmatic reality, we get the equal right to test desirability, not feasibility, false affirmers make slavery, warfare, extinction inevitable. Vote 21, we must start by rejecting conventional foreclosure, finding the idea that changes policy shift through a marginally driven national revolution, market remain untouched, challenge to find effective ways to reverse structures, liberating mind from being great conventions that solidify the ideological basis of how many influential public happenings seem to be impossible. The Great British War, leader displayed detachment, Western understanding of power, similar practice seemingly impossible, history, such as peace, landing, Cold War, American defeat, in Vietnam, China's rise, abandonment of apartheid, South Africa, understanding scope impossible, has been artificially such as foreclosure match features, have been key to the protection of slavery, discrimination, warfare, foreclosure, the imagination, complete damage, shortening temporal vision, we need politics, like also necessary utopianism, we need a moral epistemology feasible from progressive status quo, keep appeal, we need to pursue realizing necessary, must attend the whole or likely destroy the process. Now, capitalism is terminally unsustainable with 3 framing issues. 1, if we win it means it's try or die for the alternative. 2nd, it also means the link turns case, the alpha inevitably fails. 3rd, winning 1 warrant is enough to vote negative. Consumption outpaces supply and infinite destruction. On a finite world is impossible. Economic, social, ecological, and political crisis prime society for failure. That's Fraser. More warrants. 1, peaks for reaching turnaround point. Cox 24 production would grow before hitting its peak. We're close to that point. Industrial production, food production peaks soon. The consumption resource bleeding resorts with the system no longer sustainable. Fail to initiate the change, prevent collapse needed. Will also require change belief mindsets and way we organize the need to end the burning fossil fuel, something not considered. Country that hit a record oil and record natural gas exports and balance between energy demand and supply. America has been successful in developing products that consume energy, result tons of carbon dioxide, sulfur, nitrogen oxide release as the world's appetite will grow. System complexity makes collapse inevitable. Doing 23, the quality of life in both country peaks around 2016, declining development index statistics want to make signal societal collapse not possible. But what if collapse ongoing and slowest process? What if collapse are appearing? Opportunity to rethink how humans react, doom perspective, potential change, lives up and organizational strategies, the imminent economic collapse, monetary collapse, severe collapse, humanity has breached 6 out of 9 planetary boundaries, the world's monetary system's happening. Collapse private bankers believe the current monetary system will not last. None of them consider systems sustainable. Many of the world's systems are under severe stress. These systems are independent, complex, precarious, non-linear. Change can occur abruptly, drastically, a sudden breakdown in overarching structure of global capitalism. Stagger. 3rd is boom and bust. Moss 21. Marxist economies explain. Economic bust inevitably follows boom. Too much commerce. Contradiction, reduced antagonism. Economy free for all business. So we get like consumption. When enough companies jump in, market saturates, sales jump, dead side. The focus on production concept. Competition repeatedly caused crisis, frantic overproduction, undermine profitability. Some see economy to reverse. Competition is maintained. Capitalism requires accumulation at all costs. Every contradiction is great hazard. To realize an important crack in the system. Now, their card is also a bunch of utopian propaganda. Does not explain what new tech we use, how it's used, or how it's scaled up. There's 0 warrants whatsoever. We get new answers. The link IPR is an instrument of accumulation. That's the driving force of capitalism. Enables market forces to extract value from anything and is an incursion on the commons. It also allows those entities to expand, grow, and maintain competitiveness. Patents are the linchpin of accumulation, extinction. Nagari 17 patents are instruments used to increase shareholder value, accumulate capital. IP brandished by the market is instrument power over the asset society. Patents can be brought in equality, stabilized marketing corporations to be moving IP into tax havens. Now, there's not international fiat. 1, only the US and critiques are not counterplans. Only if win that the alternative epistemes reveal other possible worlds and actions beyond the straitjacket of competition and neoliberal reason. 2nd is good. Spot Samuel and Smith 15. Utopias meant to consider future society, competent bodies refuse which have living beyond patents. The delusion refuse to claim that there's no alternative. Concede utopia thinking, not engaging in democratic human flourishing, marked and flourishing. Now, the alternative is both likely and try or die. 1, it's a strategy of global cynicalism. There are cleavages erupting in the fabric of capitalism now, and the alternative seizes momentum to push forward a successful movement oriented around democratic politics and proletariat rights. Uniqueness is decidedly neg, making it try or die. Social destructions, union organizing, and the counterbalancing with corporate monopolization guarantees success. 2nd, that guarantees a host of social welfare programs that both solve the case in external sustainability scenarios. UBI, healthcare, childcare, food, union protections are just examples. The alternative democratized decision-making and intellectual property, making it over worker-oriented and sustainable. But no alt-sovereignty is not enough out. We can enact a plan, but we can use debate as a space to reshape how we think about and approach political and economic problems. If we win that, our criticism can create a new conceptual and political vocabulary for approaching environmental destruction, then that is sufficient. It's succeeding now. Book of Little 21. Degrowth exerting influence political thought, even with the mainstream economic growth audience response. What's the alternative? Zone economics, where our economy should reach speed with too much liberalization, where everyone has to do with an environmental ceiling, mark and ceiling transition wars. 1 is the movement is global. It mobilizes groups worldwide, mitigating backlash, even if they don't overthrow every government. Popular pressure will blunt military mobilization, resolve tension. 2nd, speed overwhelm sentiment will flip overnight. Washington to Soviet to 16. Cultural evolution moves rapidly, society transformed overnight. Nobody forced our collapse of the you want to avoid that's really need to. Most recognize that the scores of possible for governance, business, media, education will follow. Third, studies is proven. Brooks 24. Effective international finance, even Mercury analysis. Arguing capital flows prevent war. Literature does not show. 4, study 2. Conclude in a relationship. 1, found to increase the likelihood of conflict. 4, there is no impact. McCoy 24. Nuclear war would not result in extinction of humanity. Winter, not wipe out all humans, which will be billions in religions. Less effective humans' ability to survive natural disasters, volcanoes, man-made disasters, atrocities, creativity, innovation, finding ways to go. Nuclear war does not mean humanity will go extinct. Now the next card. 1, reciprocity on framework proves that this equally applies to the seamless notions of fiat. Second, state power will back off. American Bowler 19. Greenhill, state power to support comedy. The first priority is commit state institution back off. Consider how state power used to let investors form corporations limit their reliability. State power should also recognize the immense value generated by commenters. Decision maker find an advantage to support comedy. Mark and comedy. Now the space call scenario. There's no causal reason growth leads to space call. Soviet Union beat the U.S. in space despite abandoning a capitalism growth-oriented economy. It's impossible. Nicholson and Haywood 23. Futuristic grimline scenarios being sold to use as scientific possibility. We need a planet same size temperature resort that spent billions of years evolving with us. We depend completely on other organisms. Without them, we cannot survive. There's no planet B. The best case scenario for Mars, an atmosphere incapable of breathing. What is global death storms? Recent NASA study determined that there isn't enough CO2 in Mars to warm it. We are incapable and unimaginable distances from us. Let's imagine that futuristic form of tech exists. It would be unable to survive Earth for another 10 years, century. Such changes often lead to extinction, but it does not solve extinction. To do need 20. The question is not whether space offers survival, whether it's feasible, neither space sufficient for analysis. Give much consideration. Waste space might exacerbate trigger threats. Survival hinge on the ability to avoid rather than take threats are so distant that they have absolutely no relevance to current choices. Threats are of human origin, and space expansion is rarely considered a possibility. The human activity produces threats. Then be carried in order to consider whether regimes restrain technologies have on Earth can persist policies spread around the solar system. Now the innovation advantage. This advantage is a joke. It's full of old, not threaded together cards that they somehow think makes an advantage. Now before I get into the line by line, the Tuition case was an abomination. This is the finals of the Greenhill round robin, and their answer to everything was their impact overviews and a bunch of dozen assumes. That's incoherent. Hold the line. The one here only gets the words Tweety said, but either way, each card barely says what they wanted to. The first card that's tagged Pan's key does not even say Pan's. It says only their Pan's key card. The next card, instead of saying the plan models, says the U.S. needs to take the lead. They haven't read an impact to what happens when the U.S. does not do that. It's also from 2018, which means the U.S. has been a sitting duck for 6 years and nothing's happened. The plan also only affects 6% of the population. Their card says genome editing estimated to affect 6%, which is nowhere near enough to solve for all diseases. Your genetic engineering card is from 2009. That was when I was 2 years old. We've been waiting. I've been waiting for it to come because we all should probably die from extinction. Their biochar card is also from a decade ago, which means it's not deployed yet. Proving dumpers, there's no disease impact trade-off between virulence and potency means pandemics are not lethal or kill off their hosts. Fossil record and historical analysis indicate the risk is 0.1%. The spark card, no disease impact. Also 19, pathogens that link lost extinction 200,000 years without being asserted evidence and base rate is low. Outbreaks not come close to only extinction is temporary. Native increase mildly, increase immunity, increase in lower virtual strength, advancement, and limit the damage. Now, the enhancement scenario also starts at 0. All the card indices above apply, and there's no way to determine what enhances something or whether a treatment 1C cross-sex was horrendous. They don't know what's ethical, what the distinction between enhancement and treatment is, and there's no card that says that pounds are key. Treatment enhances people as well, which is part of the 1C economist card. No risk of biochar, they're highly speculative. Affidavits is the worst case scenarios and threat exaggeration. It starts at 0. McDonough, 22 with agents being manufactured large scale, especially inventory intelligence and process of biological attacks.
Okay, different cross.
I need one. Yeah.
Okay. So is the argument on the defense on case is that it's been like the cards were written a while back, so then there's like it's obviously disproven because nothing has happened since then.
Yeah, that was one of them.
Okay, so like boom and bust cycles. Marx theorized it like 100, 200 years ago. Why hasn't capitalism collapsed?
I don't know why it's not collapsed yet, but it's a reason that the system is intrinsically unsustainable right now.
Wait, so I'm a little bit confused. So our case arguments are kind of old, and since they haven't happened yet, they're wrong, but boom and bust has been happening for like forever, but the cap pay makes it special?
Yeah, just because Marx theorized it hundreds of years ago doesn't mean that it's been happening.
Okay, thermodynamics, same thing. It's been happening for a while, why hasn't it happened?
Didn't read it.
Huh?
Didn't read it.
Okay, system complexity, same thing.
Okay, so let me go to that card.
Okay, alright, education. Why is us getting a permutation key to education about capitalism?
You don't get a permutation.
Yeah, why is us not getting a permutation key to
because we need to compare and debate about different value systems.
So why does having a perm preclude that?
Huh?
Why does having a perm preclude that?
Because we believe that you've invested in capitalism as a value system. You can't combine the two because they should
Wait, why
just
not?
be by force. Because capitalism is an unethical system. We should not learn how to make it more effective.
Okay, you read like 3 other counterplans in the 1 and C and invested into capitalism as well. Why don't you link back?
Perfcon's good. We're gonna kick it.
Okay. So just collapse. Okay. Transition wars, or I want to talk about utopian fiat. So you fiat that global movements are international?
No.
No?
It started in the U.S. and it could be modeled.
Okay, so what evidence do you think you have read that because U.S. movements occur, they will be modeled?
Actually, your 1AC card says that countries all look to the U.S. to model their global leader.
Yeah, for germline innovation.
No,
what
not
have
just
you
for
read
germline
about
innovation.
movements?
Well, actually, your card doesn't even say germline innovation. Doesn't say that people look to the U.S. But let's say that's true. Like,
Bro, you were
obviously-
fiating the anti-capitalist
Yeah,
gorillas.
and
We were
if it
fiating the
works,
government.
then other countries looking at the U.S. being the world leader,
Okay,
doing good.
so other countries would, after seeing a U.S. movement, their governments would take down capitalism.
Yeah, sure. Their governments
Okay, so
intervene in
why-
markets and
So why would any European country, Russia, China, decide to just get rid of
Well,
markets?
because the initiative of socialism is good on politics. Like that's what they're witnessing.
Putin just has a revelation at midnight
Well,
that oh my
Putin's
goodness,
actually-
socialism is good.
Putin's country actually is not capitalist right now. So
Okay, so
Not
all
him,
EU
yeah.
leaders have a revelation in the middle of the night that socialism is good.
not all of them because Putin's one of them.
So all the other ones just believe in capitalism.
Sure.
Okay.
CIO counterclaim, Irving counterclaim, sui generis counterclaim, Article 1 counterclaim, T penalty.
T-pounds, okay. So it's court curbing, CAL, sui generis, Article 1, and then T penalties.
Yes.
Alright, cool.
Is anyone? Sealed perm not going for it, concede the permutation not going for it, curbing counterclaim, concede the perm sui generis, concede the perm Article 1, concede the perm, concede that there's no internal link to support club because they solve themselves, there's no offense because the status quo will also resolve and now answer conduct curve. First begin what we did first next flights, the topic is massive apps for all sectors of IP, overturning tiny decisions and amendments, skewing dissent, and there's zero generic strive drive for multiple options to test web, from multiple angles, especially when apps stand back as offensive to the 2EC seconds arbitrariness, the app can always find marginally more debatable interpretation which slays the neck every single debate, punish, then should fit the crime, just make the counterpoints unconditional slash, third is innovation, fallback shots, encouraging arguments, charting research for, info processing, hard one, force, 2EC efficiency, best answer, force, or critical thinking, defense versus diminishing utility, adding more advocacy, peak and value until their strategic viability, second is skew, inevitability, does not speed, headline framework, case now discount is bad versus definitional consensus, there is not segmentation, responsibilities, like third is cancel flex, the 2EC dictates the block 4, research technical, if the straight turns the best argument, the 2EC will always go for returning dissent, all 5 condoms for its creativity, and plus, find the needle in haystack, 1EC that beats generics, and research more straight turns 5, 6 is disco, 2EC counterpoint debate, their offense and uncondo is bad, and multiplies all of our offense makes it impossible to go for any other argument in the junior, especially if the 1 and the C introducing opposite T penalty. Topical ask must increase penalty for IP infringement, limits outweighs it, control fairness, limited topics are necessary because they guarantee in-depth preparation to make debate about skill and evidence instead of guerrilla warfare. Their interpretation justifies first is things like tiny mechanism apps like modifying a single patent list for single companies, cut their investor reports to be processed counterpoints, and C, modifying P2 administration apps under enforcement that shift office jurisdiction to be processed. Second is give effect apps that could just affirm the status quo like Hillerbrand. Patent terms that last 20 years since some were longer with the advantage round about patent uniformity, announced that the PTO will strengthen its existing protections by bringing lawsuits against specific companies or countries. Third is bi-directional apps like shortening patent terms for fossil fuel pipelines to spur renewable IP, shortening vaccine patent terms to spur preventative IP. The case neg against this app become their advantage. Only our interpretation solves. It creates a single plan mechanism across every single topic area. Now, in numerical terms alone, there's over 150,000 patent applications and created per year. Lovely, what number of patents did you have skyrocketed 150,000 per year and over 1,000 copyrights rose to 22. The copyright office involved in over 1,000 applications a day and over 2 million trademark apps are created every year. Criminal IT, there are over 2 million trademarks filed every year. Our agreement is distinct from other T complaints because you apply for IP rights and there's open source solvency advocates for every single small app, every issue. IP protection is published by the PTO, same or something the public PTO knowledge about the invention. As soon as the patent published, the patent documents include your patent application. The Erato evidence from the subsets T is terrible. There's no limits defense because it says protections are limited in scope, but the app literally expands the scope. They say we mean function increasing damages or exertion must be a direct mandate of the plan. The plan expands subject matter, but that does not increase severity or the number of injunctions applied. That justifies FXC, which is infinitely unpredictable and off-grounded in the topic. 2EC2, which plays in a vacuum, it's bad. First, it encourages vague plan text writing, which is inconsistent with the plan mechanism outlined in the solvency card. Second, it's unfair. There will re-clarify 5, that your ruining ground and clashes worsens positional competition. 3 reinforces the negative go for T in substance and the 2 north. 4 counter-interpretation, we agree topic knowledge of the plan, but that's characterized by things like faulty advocates, explicit petitions taken by the applicant, cross-sex answers. 5, that's predictable and fairly choose. 1 to defend when it gives a negative sum, inroads against vagueness. 6 is presumption. If it's true that solvency being misaligned from mandates mean presumption, then vote negative. That's true of this half. 7, all preempt the 1 errors, pick bad pivots. If there's that terrible, judges will vote app on theory, but picks are good, they force better app writing. If remote clash, any examples that they were given, record germane app method. They say, counter-interpretation to at first is rejected, to at first is precision. It's in the context of a single applicant treaty gaining, granting IP rights to traditional knowledge before the Dagny evidence that makes it an explicit distinction between protection we define in common usage in the context of IP and topic controversy. 2nd is limits on who says protection was, quote, used loosely in its given context. That gives app way too much wiggle room on a topic without a clear lower bound. 3rd is grammar. But 2 defines the protection of rights granted through intellectual property, not intellectual property rights as a term of art for Dagny. And they say predictability first, and insofar as this matter, we're also predictable. Our interpretation is grounded in the literature-based Dagny's professor of law and clearly defines protection in the context as IP and protection means damages or injunctions. Hankerman and Chalmers, I want IP protection to enjoin infringement damages or injunction. And Benham is a professor of law and has clear intent to define enforcement. Our interpretation is crucial to the debatability in the topic. Lucan and Iverson, 18 remedies, infringement, interpretation, and remedies, and theory are the crucial for patent. 2nd reason above the prep and research burden is what determines access to predictable arguments. 3rd is debatability outweighs. Limits are key to fairness. Even if our interpretation isn't perfect, it's not worth destroying the topic for utopian dream limits. Turn that small topics are inherently more predictable since there's a valid list of cases and voting negative to solve valid set precedent. And debaters anticipate the topic through norms. Predictability is also irrelevant. It's about models and what provides the most clash. Predictability is also arbitrary. No one knows what it means to be more predictable. After is wrong. First, we solve damages, ask to raise penalties for IP infringement on any sector they want, but ensures a stable mechanism for net generics, ask to raise damages for things like pharma patent infringements that have to read the same advantage for the negative to say damages over punish violators and chill innovation, where the lifetime regulation is preferable. Ask and raise damages for copyright violations. 2, constitute ND penalties and corporate entry penalties. The U.S. Code and licensing certainty. Negative to pick out of damages and reform licensing and injunctions, but net ground outweighs the scope of an industry. IP sets means some apps that be generics will exist. The apps should have the burden of finding quality differences to enforcement councils. Give the ball is in their courts. Functional limits is wrong. First 1 year and limits internal links mean they preclude broad applicability of the generic. 2nd, any specific to EC beats a generic. 1 and C, they say reasonability. If we win our offense, they aren't reasonable, but use offense, defense, and competing interpretation. 1st, try for the best model. The topic reasonability is arbitrary and incentivizes judge intervention. 2nd, topicality is substantive, foster critical, and legal thinking, which outweighs the impact to race to the bottom. And the case, the terrorists will obviously not say our intent is to kill anybody.
Okay, 754, starting now.
448. Alright. Where's the advantage T cap? Oh.
How much profit do you have left?
448. Pass back. Advantage T cap, Dr.
Good. 448.
Alright, same order.
Same order.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Greenhill?
I'm done with it. I'm good.
Yeah, it's the advantage T and then cap. Greenhill, good. Hammer, good.
Drop the interspecies war cause distinction. Humans target them once they deem in fear and wipe us out. I'm not going for any of the innovations subsequent Gaussum's ran to the 2NC. It does not matter because none of it is found enhancing the moral utility doctrine and the ethicality of the board is internal link, not innovation. So none of these cards apply, none of them being thumped. The cards being about from 2009 doesn't matter. It's a linear impact is increasing, and our cards are predictive about the future. Plus, 2 cross-links was embarrassing. Their cards are their impacts are also old. So it doesn't matter. They say there's no way to determine what is ethical. This is defense. They dropped a try or die because these technologies are coming. Also, drop the black ball race are accelerated. Then cause the teaching expiration of our sun, etc. are coming, and that's the economist evidence. Is also the Roy's blip in the bottom of the 1 hour that they can't determine the intent was about bioterror, which is not the impact we're going for. There also there is a way to determine the human ailments are what this treatment and our evidence about that excludes enhancement via the moral utility doctrine.
Read our evidence if you need to. It's pretty clear. T.
Protection of IP refers to the granting of rights that boosts WotC. I prefer it for predictability. It outweighs 80% of debate occurs through pre-ground research, which is prefigured through the lit base. It's the only way for consensus to emerge and create an educational classroom of prevent opponents for one intent to define their evidence is not a definition. I'm talking about how protection is usually perceived, not what it actually is. Two is much also based off the WTO and TRIPS. It's not just about Africa, it's international standards, but Mandel cites most cases. It's also appropriate to stop Sherman. The TRIPS mentioned protect IPR. 3 is consensus. The extent of patent coverage to increase the strength of IPR protection. Probably 6 multiple means to get IPR protection. There has been a standardization independent variables to manage IPRs. Then the is regarding the part of the extended coverage to the high signal and trigger protection is also they're also their evidence is really bad. They read like one card and it's not the specific IP. Now prefer for after also prefer for AF ground expanding eligibility. The only way to garner substantive advantage ground special interest groups and policymakers typically fix large gaps within IP, leaving minute problems in the wake. Only large changes from the status quo can guarantee that the AF has coherent advantages. Framing issue for limits. The only reason the topics of AF is not because of the amount of AFs, but rather the diversity of topical solvency mechanisms. AF can increase enforcement, extend eligibility, and recommit to international agreements, and all the limits are in that the 2NC gives us. It's solved by our term. In fact, we straight turn it because our term only excludes all the tiny enforcement AFs and only includes eligibility. If you so read our 2AC, so it excludes all those AFs. Now they've also the answer to the functional limits in the 1 hour is pretty incoherent. They drop they drop sui generis solves every single AF, and that there are real benefits like clog and spillover, which check. There's also the cap K and clog, which link turns are germane and will have tons of lit. There's also the band counterflame, which equips the neg with a decide every day. Cap. Galtum has dropped perm do both. Either the alt's massive revolution that overcomes the link, or it's too weak compared to the quote. He says framework, and he says links, but he never contests the perm solvency, so you know it solves now. Framework, interpretation, weigh the plan and the perm against a competitive and legitimate alternative. Their philosophical competition is unfairness in skies for let us be out as many private actions as we want, and delete your ability to permute any critique. No app can beat the fiat world peace kind of plan, no perms, then one you see discuss world, one sleep. Under their interpretation, 2 internal links, 1 AF ground. You cannot objectively determine how the alt differs philosophically, calls the race at bottom. things like process kind of blends to meet up value statements. 2 is private actors fiat. Deficits are impossible. Now private actors become the angels. They also can't feed on international success. Defeats deficits. Utopianism good is not responsive and they cross apply because we do not say there's no alternative future. It's just that we should look at feasible ones. That also kills fairness, which outweighs because it's an intrinsic good, but both sides rely on intrinsic education because there's no incentive to learn an unfair game. Now, they say the education argument 1. Fiat alternatives are anti-educational. We don't learn about revolutionary minutiae, enabling a competitive firm solves better teaching remain opportunity cost. 2 is that debates don't solve, it's already entrenched, or when around to change subjectivities because we'll double down and then all causes overwhelm like family school religion. Adults in turn, they don't turn class, fiat and more peace, and isn't class system level debates are possible with impact terms like how bad, but they feel through the process of actual organizing, plus our impacts fairness cross by functional limits. From T, it solves the no reciprocity. 1, we don't constrain innovation, we're not making a theory argument, we're making a competition standard. 2, and say you don't solve fiat, all are imaginative. I did that above. Now, growth is sustainable. 1 is innovation, tech will find better ways to invent more, provide more, and better use resources. 2 is history, people, population bomb, and metals were all wrong. 3, efficiency, market equilibrium, allocate resources to the best uses. That's the right. Which answers the first Peaks warrant, which is all the empirically true, but our evidence does have warrants and decides the innovation. Now, the complexity warrant is wrong. No market complexity trend. 19, diversity of financial institutions contribute great to the financial resilience. 08, financial diversity helps the same market liquidity. 2, the regulatory change in resilience and liquidity, allocate rates to support financial liquidity banks. 10 is the first single manner of place stabilize world countercyclical management chemical behaviors. Our ratio of visibility, crisis, frequency, and severity. Boom and bust is a natural part of the business cycle, and it's not for years. The link is irrelevant. The perm overcomes it by the abolishing most all of IP. The all fails to see 1, 2 CAs. So global syndicalism is plausible, cause taking power from the elections and coups, military coups, block the alts, Wall Street forms a counter revolution and continues capitalism. That's enhanced evidence. Uniqueness is that the inserted their evidence for reference. The alt is where their evidence is the NTO global across this proof that they can't remove the ideology ingrained in the leaders' heads, and the speed does not overwhelm when capitalists will fight back very quickly, and their movements will be constrained, surveillance, and numerous movements stumped. And 2 is that their card doesn't say anything. The Brooks card it's about debt, war, not them. The Koei 1 is about solvency of the revolution, so they'll use nukes. 2 is no impact about nukes in the 1AC.
The order is decapitated in case.
Okay, it.
Yeah.
Capitalism causes extinction now, climate change, soil erosion, water destruction, nitrogen, the carbon cycle, making it inevitable that outweighs on magnitude because it's the only irreversible impact, and this was dropped. One, their impact on the luxury bouncing back, but there's no return from ecological crisis. Second, markets cannot solve because we're going to pass the tipping point before we've seen market signals and for the 1% to invest enough in green tech since they can buy their way out of the first year of the crisis. Third is link turns case, means we short circuit their internal link, and there's no winning TR on case outweighs. Now, the all proves that the one sees gains under capitalism are unsustainable, regulated capitalism fails, and transition wars are inevitable, which flips on solvency. Calculation to try or die. Now, permutation of both was nowhere close to drop. Do not let them gaslight you. We explicitly said on framework that they do not get a permutation, and on the link debate said that the app is an instrument of accumulation that's a driving force of capitalism that allows markets and corporations to expand, grow, and maintain competitiveness and creates a locked price of innovation. That means that even if actions are not functionally competitive, epistemic disagreement is sufficient for exclusivity. This was clear and conceded by the 1ER, which means the 2ER does not get to blow it up. They also did not explain it. They had no coherent answer for why the permutation solves or what it is. There's zero leeway in the 2ER because 2ER tragedy is predicated off of their mistakes. Success is also not fiated, which means that you know that it doesn't automatically solve or overcome the links. Now, framework debate proper. This matters for how you evaluate alternative solvency debate. This question of should, not could action. Both the app and y'all are sidestepping will realm of political reality, and we've link turned the case, which means that we win even under their interpretation as well. Clash and ground and fairness are wrong. The counter-interpretation evaluating competing political match race solves best. We have links to plan action, and we let them weigh the case if they're able to beat the thesis of the K. It's not worse for half ground because we set a clear standard for philosophical difference. They said they've conceded the link, which proves that they're invested in capitalism as a value system. They say private actor fiat. That's not the alternative, which means that this is also relevant. Education outweighs learning how to make an existing system more effective is unethical if that system is violent. So we should ask ourselves why that system exists in the first place. That's Hilbert's. They say it's anti-educational. That's wrong. Their model creates individual bureaucratic thinking because it presumes that the only system for change is capitalism. Now, reciprocity is also terminal defense to each of their arguments on framework. Fiat was created and is abused of by the affirmative because it cannot beat circumvention. Otherwise, their fiating the plan overrides all political reality. The 1ER answer was incoherent because the only reason we said this was to prove that the fiat of the alternative is also justified. Now, sustainability framing issue dropped. That we only need to win one war. It proves the app's gains under capitalism inevitably fails, and its uniqueness for the alternative. Consumption always outpaces supply, and infinite extraction is impossible. Fraser says that ecological, social, economic, and political crisis prime society for failure. This was dropped. Extend to its cost. Production will hit its peak, and we're close to the turnaround point. Industrial and food production will peak, and consumption is depleting all resources. Only the alternative solves because it changes the way that we believe and organize. Next, the system complexity. Tuancy Doing says that societal collapse is inevitable, and cracks are appearing. Humanity's already breached 6 out of 9 planetary boundaries. Yes, abrupt and drastic change results in environmental breakdown. Last is boom and bust. Corporations will do whatever it takes to earn as much profit, even if it means running the market dry of investment, infrastructure, and jobs. They say innovation. Framing issues 1ER does not say what innovation, how it solves, or anything of that sort. History warrant is also wrong because they do not explain why. That means that all of our warrants are false. Trans changed their mind last year. Capitalist financialization makes cyclical crisis inevitable. As Trans 23 financial activities underlie economic activity gap has left economies receptive to literally financial crisis, greater face global economy that increased credit quality of public borrowers deteriorated, weakening your ability to service that's leading to that political crisis. Market total render obsolete financial regulatory safeguard gap between value financial direct value of wine substantially, which has been executed by high frequency trading financial derivatives value C6 trillion to 7 times global GDP. Mark at GDP, the alternative solves. It catalyzes and organizes movement around an organizing point. Drop that cleavages are erupting in the foundations of capitalism now, and only the alternative's momentum pushes forward a movement to cause disruption, to organize movements, and counterbalance corporate monopolization. That creates programs that explicitly solve the blackball scenario. UBI healthcare, childcare, food, and union protections are all examples, but they've also dropped that you should not invert your standard for solvency, which means that alternative fails is not an answer. When people raise these objections that you cannot resist the state, that is demonstrative of their fact that parameters of their political imagination are confined by capitalism. The idea that the plan is somehow a practical, not idealized, not utopian thing, whereas the alternative is something impossible, is wrong. One, drop speed overwhelms. Cultural evolution is rapid, and society will be transformed overnight. Second, state power will back off. They recognize the value generated by the commons. Capca is literally a kill. They did not extend any warrants, and they basically dropped every 2NC card. I don't have to do any work here because they dropped the impact, how it outweighs, and most of the framework offense case. Solvency is 0. The ethical board only evaluates the intent of the action but cannot predict things like cancer gene treatments, which are intended to help people but may change aesthetic elements. A malicious actor is not going to announce to the board that they intend to kill everyone but will mask under treatment. Yes, the one in our said bioterror, but applies to anyone who has malicious intent. Don't read their evidence, but our board solves it's not a warrant until you do not warrant and you are making for them. Literally, our impact star first. Our impact evidence is from 2021, whereas theirs is from 2009. Jones says that at some point, humans will look like lizards, while the other Aphrodite, and the impact says that it only takes some scientists for a blackball risk. The board examines ethicality early into its development, which is too early to predict blackball risk. Jones also says that intellectually enhanced babies might decide to eradicate the human race, which is a status quo, because people literally get smarter with time, but the alternative solves. Uniting an international proletarian press consciousness prevents the root of supposedly enhanced human-related conflict and stanches roots of generational crisis conflict that are the root cause of the Jones evidence. Look at the Tweezy and the 1ER did not extend warrants. You do not warrant the benefit of reading their evidence when the only thing I have from the Tweezy is enhanced subsidies. Their cards are all terrible.
Okay, 436.
Case Captain. Name it stand.
Yeah.
Alright. Is everyone good? Sorry.
This debate is going to come down to two separate ballots that you can vote on independently. One is tried. Alchemists concede that the affirmative solves for the burnout of the sun only through genetic treatments. The germline can be innovative the capacities to solve for the problems of the economies, which is clearly flagged in the YC in every single affirmative speech, which means that extinction is inevitable, absence to innovation on the germline, which means that your auto-voting app, extinction is inevitable. That means that even if capitalism collapses and causes extinction, it doesn't matter as long as we win some risk of defense. This means that you can vote affirmative here. The impact uniqueness for extinction is gone. 2R is 2 new, 2 names. Strike it out for flow. 1AC Mosby and 1AC Mendocino says that ethics committee would be able to determine what qualifies as genetic treatment and what does not qualify as genetic enhancement. That means that their pivot to intent does not matter because the ethics committee in particular determines what can and can't. You should go back and read our 1AC evidence. I cut this half, and the cards are absolute gas. They specifically talk about the treatment and enhancement distinction and explain that the ethics committee is uniquely posited to solve these distinctions. Patents are uniquely clean, which means the alt does not solve this scenario. They concede that they spur innovation and direct where that innovation goes. But that's all of our 2AC evidence, and they've not explained how the alternative can solve for innovation. I'm not sure how FJGs or unions can solve for innovation on the germline, which our evidence says that enhancement is occurring now, and it needs to be directed to treatment, and the only way to do that is through patents. The second ballot you can cast is the permutation, and most certainly solved. Galton has conceded that it solves 100% of the K of the cap K, which means that you have just have to determine its legitimacy equal to more on the K. And if you don't feel comfortable voting on the burnout of the sun impact, you can also vote on the black hole risks impact. That the new innovations and enhancement create new risks, which means that linearly increases the risks of extinction. That's for 1AC built-in evidence. They have not explained how capitalism can prevent rogue innovators from using this. So Tunard has new defense that says a few scientists can do it, but that's our argument. The app prevents those scientists from developing those technologies in the first place through ethics guidelines. Go to Kate. Perm do both. It solves the link so by including the AF as a tiny part of the revolution. If the block and 2R are right that the alt can solve for war, environmental catastrophe, future tech, and catastrophe, then the AF slips under the radar as a minute part of the revolution that's seen as a transitionary policy. This drop in the bucket, it doesn't matter if the plan marginally increases capitalism. If we abolish the system as a whole, the plan adds slightly more water to a bucket that the alt dumps out in its entirety. If that minor amount of capitalism is enough to take down the alt, then it will inevitably fail in the status quo. The problem here is that Gautam in the 2&C does not even go to the permutation. He just goes to the legitimacy of the permutation, which means that as long as we win framework, we win this debate. Considering that Gautam has not explained a link in the 2R, nor has he explained that how that link overwhelms the sheer magnitude of the revolution. The sole objection to the completing political imaginaries is an unfair ruse. 2 internal links. 1 is permutation. Every counterplan would compete on value statements, which makes refutation impossible. Drop. They could read the no war counterplan with links to the YC saying 1 at war once. Read the uncooperative federalism counterplan with links based off the plans failing to strengthen state sovereignty. Read a uniqueness counterplan that gives the P-time infinite funding with links based off of the plan marginally lowering its resources. All of those examples should lose the permutations under their model, which means that it makes it literally impossible to be affirmative. To use part of rector fiat. If everyone acted like an angel, the AF would never need to solve anything. They can't fiat government action, but imagining that everyone on Earth adopts a new political philosophy is impossible to counter and not reciprocal. Fairness is the only impact. The ballot can enact changes in our subjectivity, but it can remedy procedural unfairness. Drop takes out the 2R pivot into ethics and epistemology. They can see that friends, family, schools, and all causes overwhelm and determine the subjectivity. So education is not an impact. Fairness turns it. No one will research anti-capitalism if dropped on an unfair framework interpretation. We'll practice framework again. People research to win. They've dropped system-level education is access. The impact turns like cap bad in the form of D-edge or head edge bad. You don't need a fiat through all offense. This is pathetic. The alt doesn't do any planning. The neg wave the magical wand of fiat and is deluded into believing everyone becomes anti-capitalist. They didn't explain how movements form, what they do to get power, and how the movement decides priorities. And there isn't a single actual anti-capitalist who would define global syndicalism as contributing to any planning. Personal ideology outweighs caused by massive causes, family, friends, and above. I did that above, and that means they don't straight turn class. Dropped that they don't need it because there's tons of functional limits on this topic, like the uniqueness, sui generis, and etc. The 2R also says that
they solve for ground, but they don't need to make the world peace counterplan competitive. They can also read the CAPK that competes off of the plan and the plan's mandate and compete and destroys perm solvency. They say education outweighs. That doesn't matter. The 2 NR drops at fairness turns education, which means that the fairness is a nexus question of this debate, and you have to determine the fairness flow prior to evaluating any other offerings. They say that you cannot pivot to like a DA of capitalism because they have not explained the alt. They have not explained it as like a capitalism DA. You can only develop the alt.
Highlight that says that degrowth is failing now.
They also dropped the re-highlight that degrowth is failing in the status quo, which means that there's no external DA you can vote on, and the 2 NR did not say the judge kick. The problem, and they say, yeah.
Sustainability doesn't matter.
Sustainability doesn't matter. Perm solves it. It's just a question of whether the perm is legitimate. We've won that it is.